Welcome to the Teaching Bites podcast. Here are your hosts, Fred and Sharon Jaravada.
Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Fred Jaravada, and
I'm Sharon Jaravada.
And welcome to our show, the Teaching Bites podcast, where we connect you with some pretty awesome teachers and ideas. And today we have two very special guests. Now, these two guests, we know them really, really well. They actually taught our boys in preschool. And Sharon, you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, we actually are very lucky because we are teachers ourselves, as you know, but we don't know anything about
early childhood
until our children went into your classrooms. So we were learning along with you, and you guys gave us really great insight as how to, raise our kids, like how to guide them. And so we just want you guys to share your story, and we want all of this to be out because we feel like I'm an elementary school teacher. I only know K through 5, and then Fred's K through 8. But how about before that? We want to spread the importance of it and have an insight.
So we want to introduce, and I'm going to go ahead and give the mic up to these teachers. First, we have Eszter. Hi, Eszter.
Hello, happy to be here.
And we have Natalie.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Doing great.
I know you guys are a little nervous about this whole thing. Don't worry about it. Okay. But let's go ahead and whoever wants to start first, tell us your origin story, your name, and your experience, and tell us how you got to this part in your life.
Do you want to go first, Natalie?
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So my name is Natalie Borton, and I currently work at an early child care center in San Francisco, and we Eszter and I both work at a center that serves children from 6 months old to 5 years old, and our center is a play-based emergent curriculum. So I've been working at that center for 6 years now. Started as a substitute teacher's assistant and then became a head teacher for the past 3 years. And I was lucky enough to teach Sharon and Fred's older child, AJ, in a preschool classroom. So that's it.
Very cool. All right. Okay, so Eszter, tell us your origin story and how you came to this point in time in the universe.
Yeah, so I guess Natalie kind of gave us a little insight into where we both work currently. So I guess I'll talk about how I became a teacher. Mm-hmm. And it started really young, at a really young age. I started working, I was actually a counselor / leader of a Hungarian co-ed scout organization here in the Bay Area, which was very, it was very much pushed by my mother to join because we were Hungarian and she wanted me to embrace the culture and be around children of my age that speak the language. And there I was, and what you do in that organization is you go through this schooling where they teach you the culture of Hungarian, the history and all that. And then later on when you get older, they kind of train you to be counselors of little children. Mm-hmm. So at the age of about 12, I would say, I had my own little group, little cohort of little children, all 6 to 7 and 8 year old girls, and I had about 6 of them in my group. And there I had to every other Sunday I had to go to this church where we would spend a couple hours there, and I would be with my group and I would train them and teach them outdoor skills and how to survive in nature and kind of learn that leadership role really young age.
Who trained you to do that?
I learned beforehand. So I had my own counselor first, and then when I became old enough, I got to take my own group. And as I got older in high school, I went to some trainings, which are actually, they do them in the East Coast in New York. And I went to a couple different trainings that were 2 weeks long. And they kind of teach you how to be leaders of these groups.
That's cool. Very cool.
Very interesting. So I became very interested in that, in children through that.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, so before we continue, we are here, thank you, at a bar and restaurant. We are actually getting food and some drinks right now.
Thank you. Help yourself.
So we are being served. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
the
this is
restaurant
called
again?
the Sunset Reservoir Brewing Company.
Yes.
And it's kind of popped up like 2 years ago or so in the Sunset.
It's pretty popular right now. It's
It's
pretty
a
cool.
brewery, lots of beers on tap, good food. And actually, they're the same owners as Devil's Teeth Bakery.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Let me know if you need
Yeah.
anything at all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So
Yep.
now, why do you guys do what you do? And why do you guys? Why do you ladies? Why do you decide the younger kids? Why early childhood education?
Well, that's a really, really good question
Mhm.
because sometimes I go home at the end of the day and I think about that question. You know, it might have been a really tough day at work, and you're just
Right.
like, but then there are some really good days where you really feel like you've made a difference in children's lives and you've impacted the families in a way that makes you feel like you're helping these children grow and develop into these little human beings that will, be the future of our generation. And
Right.
there's some sort of reward that I feel like I've made an impact.
Now, do you get to see that though?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. Do you get to see that? Do you get to see?
I have personally, because I have had the opportunity to stay with my group of children, some of them for 3 years in a
awesome.
row.
Yeah.
So I have seen them from infancy all the way now to preschool, and I've seen them develop as they got older, and even build those relationships with the families has been such a valuable part of my life.
Yeah.
Sometimes I forget it's my job.
Right.
It's something you
That's great.
just so. I know it's just part of your life.
All right, Natalie. So what do you do? What do you do?
I agree with Esther. Sometimes I do go home and I'm just like wishing I had a day job or a desk job and something that was a little bit easier,
Predictable.
more predictable. But all jobs are hard. Our job's harder in a different way. But my whole life I've always worked with children through different aspects. I've been babysitting since I was in middle school and working as a lifeguard and teaching swim classes to children. And so I've just always felt this lifelong passion to work with children. And I think that I'm a very enthusiastic and fun, outgoing person, and I think that those characteristics really play a part. And my role as a teacher, I can really relate to children in a different way, and just building those relationships has been just so amazing to be a part of. And similar to Esther, I worked with a group of children from infant to preschool until they graduated. The last group that I was with them for almost their whole lives, and still keep in touch with them. And so you do get to see the impact that you make on them, and that just makes all the difference. No matter how hard it is at the end of the day,
Yeah.
there's so many great things that outweigh the negative. And so it's just always been a passion of mine. It makes me really happy.
Yeah, that's really cool that, like, Esther, you followed Ethan for the past 2 years. And that really helped for, we knew each other already. And
And Ethan's our youngest one.
yeah, Ethan's our youngest, and he's just blossomed, and they're very openly communicative. So it's been, really great just to have that for 2 years. Versus, if it was a different teacher, it's fine too, but it's just really helpful.
Right.
It is. That it's like that at the place they go to school at. But for me, I just go to I teach 3rd grade and bye.
Right.
Yeah, so we call that continuity of care when you're able to move on with this group of children.
That's cool.
Wait, what
It's
do you
not
call it?
continuity of care. So you're continuing
Something
the
new.
care. And it's not always practice, but I'm definitely a believer in it. I'm an advocate for continuity of care because those relationships that you build are just so strong, and they continue to get stronger each year as you move on with those children. And it's just, I'm comparing it to, the group of children I had for 4.5 years compared to the group of children I just got this year, and it is different.
Yeah,
The relationships
right.
are different, and it's almost as if you're growing up with these children, and so it just makes it a very positive and shared experience.
Wow.
Yeah, cool. So, can you take us back to the moment or the aha moment where you're like, teaching is for me? I mean, I know, Esther, you mentioned working at the school as a mentor, right? or the leader for the at that Hungarian cultural place or something. But is there like a moment where you're like, this is the job for me? Do you remember that? Or
when it became your calling, you knew.
Yeah, like this was the time.
I personally cannot think of a aha moment. I think there's so many around us. When I was going through grad school at San Francisco State University, we did a lot of reflecting, and a lot of what they teach you in grad school is to be very reflective about your experiences, and they actually touch a lot on what is your aha moment, and there were just so many. And during my thesis writing, there was something that really stuck out to me. I guess that would be my aha moment. Is just children's. Something that I'm fascinated with to this day is how children develop friendships in early childhood. Because that, I think, friendship is such like a vague word that I think people just throw out all the time.
Right.
Like, oh, we're all friends, But I think young children have to learn how to process that information, how to build relationships and then develop into a friendship. It's not just something that's gained so quickly. And I think that was my big aha moment during grad school when I was writing my thesis. Is what is the teacher's role in helping children form relationships and continue that onto a successful friendship, which I think is a really important part of early childhood that should be learned. I don't know if you agree, Sharon, as an elementary school teacher, but that is a really good learning foundation for them to have before going to kindergarten.
Social skills.
Yep. And so.
Yeah.
All right, Natalie, what's your aha moment?
What's yours?
It's hard to think of just one. I mean, I can kind of go back and like my backstory of how I got into the field too. Like, I first entered college as a journalism major. Wasn't thinking to make this a career of working with young children at all. I thought I was going to be a journalist writing for a newspaper. My first semester there, I was so unhappy, and I knew it wasn't for me. It just didn't fit. And I kind of, sat back and reflected again and just was thinking about what made me happy, what has been consistent throughout my life, and that's been children, working with children. And so I found my current place of work. I went there and signed up to be a substitute, applied to be a substitute, and tried really hard to get to the child and adolescent development program. It took quite a long time, and I worked hard at it as much as I could. And that showed me how passionate I was, the fact that I worked so hard for that. And then when I became a substitute at where we currently work years ago, my first day working with children, in a high quality center, it just went off so well. Like the children really, they approached me really positively, and I saw these really highly competent teachers, and I knew that I wanted to do what they were doing. And so that's when I, decided to get into the program and start taking classes to become what they were, and then just continued on.
All right, so going back to, let's rewind. Let's think about, is there one thing that you wish you would have known before you started teaching? Like, I wish someone told me this advice.
You guys are giggling.
We talked about this
Natalie
earlier.
and I had lunch together. We kind of were talking about some ideas we had about this question because, everyone kind of knows that teachers don't make that much money, right? But I think what we both agree to this is that I didn't expect as an adult for the pay to be so challenging in life, especially living here in San Francisco and
one of the most expensive cities in the world.
It is, and while I love my job, I really do. I think it's really tough for teachers out here to make it. You have to have a really.
And you both live in the city.
We both live in the city. I live downtown, and the cost of living is pretty high. And
very high, yeah.
So that it surprised me. Like I should have known. Everyone says you should have known before getting in this field. But when you become an adult, it changes everything. Life is different. So
it's true.
It's really surprised me.
Yeah. And I knew going in the pay would be awful. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm helping. I'm working with kids, and it still doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But as I get older, and there's just more bills to pay, and more things I want to do, such as travel and everything like that, it's it's harder to do. And also where we work, we don't get, summers off, so there is no break for us.
That's hard.
Very much.
I can
We
imagine.
don't have a, yeah. And
So how many weeks of the year do you work?
I would say
Pretty much all full round, right?
49 weeks. We only get
152.
Christmas
Wow,
break.
that's amazing. That's right.
Yeah. So we
We're
don't
pretty
get
much
much of a break, and I think that's really important for teachers.
Exactly.
But I think in this field, early childhood education especially, there's more centers that, they don't close for the summer because there's still children who need to, parents need to work. Yeah.
yeah.
I think it really does. I think it's about the population we serve because we also serve like working families that need to work around the clock.
Exactly.
Both
Right.
parents, so we have to support them.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd say that would be the biggest thing that I wish we thought more of.
Yeah. How do you?
But I wouldn't change what I'm doing at all
Right.
because of that. It's just a different way of balancing your life.
How do you make sure you get enough breaks? I mean, even though you don't have the breaks like Fred and I do, like the summer, do you make sure you take mental health days and?
Yeah, we try and take
Strategically.
vacations and as
Yeah.
much as we can. Just a
Take
couple
a sick
days
day
off.
when you
Yeah.
actually feel sick and not. In the beginning, you just
Yeah.
I think don't know to do this, but you just go even when you're sick, just because you don't want to miss out on the day, but then you learn to really take care of yourself.
Yeah.
People, and I actually learned. I heard.
It's all right. I spilled my drink.
On your phone. You
It's
want
all right. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. I got it. Thank
All
you.
right, so learning to take care of yourself is really important. I think you touched
Yeah.
on that in one of your other podcasts,
Yeah.
and I truly believe that is a way to keep sane in the field.
Right. We have to.
We have to.
That's like the airplane. They tell you to put your oxygen mask on first before the kid.
Yeah.
It's a similar thing in life.
Very.
You know?
I think that's hard to think of yourself before the students that you work with.
It's true because we're not. It's like we're not naturally that way.
Yeah.
So how do you guys get through this? Is there a quote? Is there some saying you do? Do you guys meditate? How do you get through all this? How do you get through your teaching?
Well, I guess I'll answer that question. In grad school, I picked up this really good mantra or motto. It's called accept, adapt, and adopt. So, whatever comes our way, there's a lot of challenges that come our way, but you learn to accept them, you learn to adapt to it, figure out different strategies that work for you. 'Cause every classroom is run differently. Different things come up every day
Yeah.
for all of us teachers, and you really have to keep an open perspective and really be optimistic for change. And being open to change is probably really hard for a lot of people, but I think it's something that you have to do in our field. Whether it's handling challenging families that come along and supporting them and whatever comes your way, or having a child with special needs in your classroom and helping them find care the best you can. I think it's important to adapt new skills and learn, and never say you're done learning, because I think teachers have to keep learning and keep that positive attitude about always wanting to change and be a reflective teacher in that sense.
I agree. I would probably agree with that motto as well. It's really important to be flexible in this field. I think separately though, at the end of a hard day, for me, I like to go on walks or run it out, or do something that just takes my mind off of it, because it's hard to keep work at work in this field, especially if there is something challenging going on in your classroom. I've lost nights of sleep over something in the classroom, and I wake up with anxiety. Just there's different things that happen, and it's important to again take care of yourself, and try and keep it at home or at work. And it's taken me a long time to get to there, but I think I'm able to leave work at work for the most part now. But earlier when I was just beginning in this field, it was very hard. It's an emotional toll working in this field, I think, at any age too, and definitely for the population that we serve, and just different things that come about, it really can affect you, make it really much harder.
Now I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm going to ask you a question I didn't share with you earlier.
Great, let's hear it. Hit it.
Well, tell us some misconceptions, some myth of being a preschool teacher, a daycare teacher. I know you don't like it, but that terminology, and it's the wrong terminology actually. Can you speak about the preconceptions, the preconceptions of being misconceptions
Yeah.
of being a so-called preschool teacher?
Want to start?
Well,
Let's
okay.
start first with the
Drop
terminology.
it down.
Go, Eszter. Go, Eszter.
Drop it.
Thank you. We are actually called early childhood educators. So that is the terminology that we like to use, and we're really pushing for in the
Yes.
field right now. We have. Sorry, what was the question earlier?
The misconception.
With the misconceptions,
misconception
yes.
Of your title as a
Of
daycare
what you
preschool
do.
teacher.
What
I think a lot of people in our society might view our role as, people that watch the children while parents are at work, and it's just play and
Babysitting.
it's babysitting, and they just drop it. It's a drop-off place, and we just hang out. But at where we work and the way we view our field is much more than that. It's a lot deeper than that. And you really believe that every moment should be a learning moment. And if you're not teaching something invisibly to young children, then that is just daycare, and you're just dropping off at the preschool. So that's what keeps us on our toes. We're really always trying to find the value in everything we do. And it's not just playing with Play-Doh. There's a lot more that goes into it.
Right.
We're teaching them language skills. We're teaching them social skills. Learning to children to make things and create things. And there's a little bit more than that.
Natalie, what do you think?
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been approached, or when I tell people who I meet what I do, the response is, "Oh, so you babysit?" Initially, essentially, you babysit, and
Yeah.
and it's really frustrating to hear that terminology, because we both, Eszter and I, both received our masters in early childhood education, and we are far beyond babysitting. We are a high quality center, and we teach all realms of development, like Eszter said, language skills, math and science, even for infants, we do serve 6 months old, and a lot of people don't understand why we work with such young children, but there's so much for them to learn. They're learning socialization and, motor skills and self-help skills, things like that. They're all prerequisites for kindergarten and elementary school, and we are preparing them for that.
And plus, you mentor a lot of interns too.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
We do work with students who are working to become teachers, so we.
And that's one thing unique what you guys do. Very unique.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
we're very happy where we send our boys to your school, and we're very lucky because we see it. You see, you're not just teachers, but you're mentors to these up and coming people who want to be part of the early childhood.
Yeah, I think it's teaching of all realms, teaching of children, teaching of future teachers.
You're not a nanny. That's what I don't like about when people say, you're just a babysitter. I hate that.
Yeah, it is it's very disrespectful, and especially because they don't know our center and they don't know what it's like. I mean, the environment is so amazing there.
Yeah.
And,
They don't see it. They have to see it.
yeah, and I mean, it'd be interesting to see how you felt about, your son's going there and still going there, and how much they've learned being there. You are you're on the other side of it,
Right.
There are some parents still who don't maybe believe what we do or understand fully what we do, and so it'd be interesting to hear your side and how you feel about the curriculum.
Eszter has something.
I just want to add something that came to me that when I first started teaching, I remember one parent came and sat down with me, and she knew that I had been going to the graduate program at the time. I was working full-time and I was going to graduate school, and she sat next to me. She says, "Oh, how's everything going?" And and he's like, you must be what, 16, 17?
What?
And I remember feeling so insulted, and this parent like just really didn't make the connection. I'm in graduate school. How can I possibly be 17?
I know.
It just felt like, I just feel like the young teachers and in the culture of young teachers don't get recognized in the same way.
She wasn't even listening to you, I bet.
She wasn't. No. And sometimes a lot of parents can misjudge teachers because they're young, they're not as experienced. But I think if anything, we need to embrace those young teachers and give them the voice and the power to really keep going, keep learning, and they're the ones that are really, really fresh at this. And I think they have so much drive, and we see so many young teachers coming in, and they're so passionate about the field, and they want to learn, and they want to be there. Those are the kind of teachers we need. We need teachers that want to be there, not just because they got stuck in the field or whatever, and they're set in their ways. But the young teachers I really like to work with because they want to learn, and they want to try different ways of doing it. So.
Being open-minded about it.
Absolutely.
Takes a lot of places.
Yeah.
So Natalie, you asked about our perspective on how we isn't. And correct me if I'm wrong. Our perspective. You want to ask about our perspective about how we view.
So how you view the center and how you think your children benefited from a play-based emergent curriculum. We aren't a sit-down academic center where we have the children sit down and do writing. It comes naturally. That's what we view. And I know AJ was writing his name and writing before he went to kindergarten. Things like that. And so that's what we promote.
Tremendous,
it's amazing because for AJ, I can speak about him first. He came in as the youngest, in both classes, and he was just making so many leaps and bounds. And remember at the kindergarten application process, we were kind of debating whether he should go or stay another year, and he actually did so well going into kindergarten, being the youngest, that it was like just nothing happened, nothing bad happened in a way. Like
so great.
It was just like you guys really prepared kids for kindergarten.
Even when we applied for coming to my school, I was very confident already.
Good.
I was very confident. Like, okay, he has a great foundation already, and then he had that great attitude of keep going also. And that's the key.
And he was always very happy to go to school. Like, even when the first week with Jenny, he was the youngest, barely, almost potty trained, one of the 3 that was still in pull-ups, he was able to, get with it and, get in with the boys and the girls, the older kids, he was just great. And then when Ethan came on, it was great because AJ was still there. So that helped with that transition, which was hard for him. It was because he was younger. AJ got in at 3, and Ethan was there since 2 years old or something like that. So it was a harder transition for him. But I think the constant communication that we always had, Eszter, really helped.
Absolutely.
And I never had to worry about the kids. Whenever I was always I trust you guys so much, and it was just so nice to see what happens there, and and when Ethan was full time, he went off because
we expected. Right?
I know.
We talked about that.
He's doing so well. Right now, he's pretty much potty trained, except for nighttime.
So I'm glad.
But
it does help when you go.
Helped.
It does help when you go full time.
Yeah.
If you can go full time.
And Ethan's so independent. All those skills. He talks about his friends. We had a play date with his friends last week, Sophia, and he just really enjoys them.
That's great.
So we're really happy. And like I said,
to hear that.
Yeah, we're teachers, so we didn't know anything about the school till I heard about it through a colleague who I teach with, and then we visited. I'm like, this has to be it. This is it. And we don't know much about preschools, right? Yeah. So we just got very lucky, and it's very close to my school, so that was nice. It's always nice to be close.
Great. Well, you two are wonderful parents, I must say.
You were
very, very...
I mean, I'm speaking past tense because AJ's not in my room anymore, but you're a great family to have.
Thank you.
Thank you. More families like you.
Yeah, we definitely do.
How to recruit. recruiting.
Okay, so what is the biggest challenge that you've gone through in your journey? What's the biggest challenge in your professional journey?
I think we've touched on this a little bit, but I can't share specifics, so it will sound a little vague. But I think in this field, and especially like at our center, we serve a affluent population of families, and sometimes that can be a challenge because understandably so, there's high expectations. It is a high quality center, and there's a lot of high expectations, and working with certain families, say if a child is having challenging behaviors and it's just concerning for the classroom, and then working with a family who may not be responsive to the feedback that you're giving them about their child, and going through that process of communication where you're sharing something and they're fighting you back on it, almost disrespecting you to a level. I mean, I've definitely had a couple incidences where I've felt very disrespected and very low from families, and it's been hard to I've lost trust from families basically, and it's not a great feeling, especially when I know that I'm coming from a good place. It's me caring and wanting the child to be helped and things like that, and it's not received that way, and that's not much I could have done else. It's just how the parent wants to receive it, how the family wants to receive it.
Yeah. Now, how does admin help you out?
They help out a lot. They're very supportive. We go to admin about our concerns, and we communicate with both the family and admin about it, and if it needs to come to a point where we need to meet with admin with the family, then we will, and that's kind of when it starts to, this is a problem, and the parents start to really get concerned, but also they're fighting back on it.
Defensive about
It's defensive, and I understand that perspective of it. I don't have children of my own, but I imagine when I'm a parent, I will be defensive about my child.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I understand a parent's side. So this is really just my side about it, how I've felt in the past. It's just definitely been challenging to work with families, and although we met with admin and tried to help the child or help the family, sometimes it didn't go very well, and they left the center, and the trust was gone, and we couldn't gain it back. And
That's unfortunate, but I think what's really important is that the admin supported you.
Yes, and there's definitely support from admin.
That's good.
Always. I've never felt unsupported. They want to do what's best, but they all want to do, what they want to do what's politically best too for the family,
Right.
and they're serving the family as
It's
well
a balance,
as serving me.
yeah.
So it's that balance. So, but I think they do a great job of balancing it. So I've always felt supported. That was never an issue. It was just not feeling supported by the family and not being able to help. It's at the end of the day, it's just sad because I knew that a certain children needed help, and I couldn't give it to them, but the family wasn't also responsive.
Yeah.
So I still think about these past families, and I'm wondering if they're okay and how the child's doing, and I just have to know that I did my best, and that's at the end of the day, that's what gets me through. And I did my best, and it may not have gone the way that I wanted it to, but I can say that I did everything I could. And so that's definitely been a challenge for me. And I'm wondering if it's a different population of families that it would be different, but I don't know. So
Not everything's in your hands.
exactly.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Okay, Esther, so how about you?
Esther.
My biggest challenge, I think, has been when children in the classroom are exhibiting really challenging behaviors, and you start to question whether some things are a little bit worrisome in terms of their development. And the tricky thing about our field is that we are at this age where we're not getting any support from the school district necessarily because they're at that age.
Yeah.
And so, figuring out if there is in fact a problem, and you notice something's missing, or developmentally they're not where we'd like them to be, how to reach out to the families, how to seek resources, and getting the parents to really be involved in the process and not get defensive, because I think it is really important to catch things early on, The earlier the better, and
it's
early,
so true.
early intervention is really, really key. But it can be very difficult because I think there are challenges with families that are very defensive, and so you have to tiptoe your way around and kind of get in there and try to bring awareness to them slowly. And
Right.
some families are easier to work with than others, but I think at the end of the day, I think it's important that we catch it before they go to kindergarten. Would you agree, Sharon?
Yes, I agree. It gets them ready, and if you catch it early, it just helps them in the whole elementary plus experience.
Get to the system earlier.
Because even in kindergarten, when kids come in and we know there's some kind of learning disability or special needs, you're like, well, they're still kindergarten, so they're probably developing still. And then by the time they actually go through the process of SST, it could be 2 years until they're identified or something.
Exactly.
So, but then again, it's hard because they're still developing. And so I can imagine at your level,
It's hard.
you have to be sensitive to that too.
Absolutely.
And you can't
parents
just
will say
diagnose.
it.
Yeah.
They do say things
Yeah.
like, oh, they'll outgrow it, it's a phase, or
They're the youngest
they'll
in the
get
class.
there.
They'll be the
And so they're very dismissive about your feedback to them. But there are families that if you start having those conversations, they are like, oh, tell us what to do. And so we do have a balance of
Right.
both ends, of course. I'm not saying all parents
Yeah.
are defensive, but it's very challenging for us to find them a resource too, because I think it's hard. We can't diagnose them.
No, we
because that
can't.
is
No.
not our job to do
It's
so.
a job.
And
Right.
so, but we can see red flags and we can start, being aware and pointing things out. But how you do it is very delicate.
Very
It's a very
delicate.
delicate subject.
Yeah, I mean that's why you guys we trust you a lot with our kids. Gaining the trust of parents is, I know it's a big thing for you and us too. Because if you tell me something about our kids, I will take that to heart and say, okay, you have something valid to say. I don't see my kids when you see them, so I'm like cool, and I'll take that and figure out what to do.
Yes.
But that's how we are.
Unfortunately, not every parent's
Yeah.
like that.
So
If any advice I
having
can
that-
give on that is for new teachers is to really ease into it. If you have the beginning of the school year and you start noticing some things right away, don't mention it the first month. Give it time. Build a relationship first. I think it's
Build
super
that
important. Build the trust first, and then start slowly getting there. But
oh, that's good. Good tip.
I think it's a really important tip.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So before we continue, anyone want some buffalo wings?
No, thank you.
Okay, but
Sure.
anyone want
Buffalo wings?
taco bread?
I'm full now.
You want some more drink?
I'm good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You notice I didn't say that when we're drinking, but yes, drink. All right. So
All right.
tell us, Shannon, you want to ask the question?
Yeah.
Go for
So
it.
do you have a favorite book or a movie or or music or something or song that inspires you or keeps you going?
This is a hard one.
What, you don't read books? What?
No, we do. But
Okay.
Harry Potter.
I'm thinking about
That's actually a good book.
I'm thinking about a movie I saw, a documentary that
Yeah.
recently came out on Netflix called The Beginning of Life.
Oh.
We just saw that.
We just
Isn't
saw
it
that.
Well, I
amazing?
saw the first 20 minutes
Oh my
of
gosh. I had my kids watch it with me.
Yeah,
it.
actually,
Okay, Eszter, break it down. Break it. Tell
Yeah,
us,
tell us what
listeners.
it's about.
It's
I love that.
an amazing documentary that really depicts from birth to
4 or 5.
4
I
or
think,
5,
yeah.
basically the early childhood.
Right.
It's looking
Age.
into that age specifically and how vital early childhood is and the development that goes on. It goes into phases from as they're born, and it really talks about what I really enjoyed learning about or hearing is what an important role the parents play. How, especially fathers, they really, really highlight that, how it's important that fathers are very involved. And they really do highlight the children as very competent human beings. And that is actually our philosophy at our school and what we live by. I think it's so important to view children as competent because they really are. And this documentary makes you realize, it just puts everything into perspective.
Now, I know the documentary, I only watched the first 20 minutes of it, but I'm a big fan of the Reggio Emilia
Yes.
method. Do you guys do that, or what is your method in your school? Or your classroom, what do you do? Or
So Reggio
what is
Emilia
your-
is a Italian
the town. Yeah.
Italian?
educator
Yeah.
who thought of this.
The town.
It's a town, but
Town,
she Want to say something more about it?
Well,
It's okay, we're keeping this in.
I know. Okay, well, so we are not a Reggio-inspired school.
Right.
You have to actually be trained in Reggio to be
Oh, you do
like
have to be
licensed.
trained.
Yeah,
Okay.
you just have to go
Using that
annually.
name.
You have to go
you can say
visit
inspired, but you can't.
Oh, you have to visit in Italy? You have to
Yeah.
visit
You
there?
have to go and get
wow.
trained there, and you have to update your
Of course,
certification.
they don't
good-
want you to
that's a
just
pretty
use
good
their
thing,
name,
though.
drop it.
So you can just do
I mean,
a
it's very-
Reggio-inspired school. You would do that.
I'm gonna go to Italy. It's great. Nice there every
yeah,
summer.
But they're very big on. I used to work at a Reggio-inspired
Okay.
school, and they're very big on arts and family and culture and a lot of photo documentation and visual arts and what else, Natalie? They're very big on like community building and having the children.
It's also emergent. You know,
It is.
we're emergent curriculum, so it is emergent based as well.
Yeah.
In Reggio.
There are some similarities.
Right. It's very similar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we all really we are inspired by Reggio Emilia. You know,
Yeah.
we learned it in the master's program, and it sounds amazing. You know, I've only done an internship at a Reggio Emilia inspired school, and so again, it's just inspired. You know, so
Yes.
I don't have practical experience in Reggio Emilia. It sounds amazing though, and just the way that they approach learning with children, and I think we have a similar approach to that. You know,
Yeah, I mean, when I watched the movie, I always thought of The Center.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
they're talking about play-based learning.
Right.
And
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
I remember there's one part where is it some psychiatrist or child psychologist is saying, kids don't need toys. They just need whatever's around them. They can be creative,
Right. Exactly.
and that's something that we try to do with our kids.
A stick.
Yeah, Reggio is really it's nature-based too.
Yeah, nature-based.
So, all wooden materials, things brought into
Recycled
nature.
materials.
Yeah, recycled,
Oh.
bringing nature into the classroom and learning
Okay.
through that way. And
Yeah.
so, like building something out of sticks and pine cones and leaves like that, and making it this whole social experience. There's so much learning just with building something out of something else. There's
Yeah.
social skills, cooperation, problem-solving skills, fine motor.
Right.
It meets every realm of development, I think. And I think we do practice that. We just are a Reggio-inspired or a Reggio-based school.
So, listener, please check out that. We'll have the link to the show notes in the show notes to that film in Netflix. It's very cool. All right, so Natalie, any other books or songs or movies? I know I tease you, but you don't read, but you do.
I
Harry
do
Potter.
read.
But is there anything out there that just inspires you, like keeps you going?
Just in life or in this
It could be
field?
just in life, yeah. Because you know what? What we do is
No.
about Harry Potter.
I mean, I'm a really big Harry Potter fan.
Now, have you gone yet to the Universal?
I did. And
how was that?
I went opening weekend. this is my Harry Potter tattoo.
Oh wow!
Oh my God, if you don't
okay,
know,
big fan.
Natalie
Okay,
has a
tell us
tattoo
what it says.
on her left arm.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
It says all was well. Spoil alert.
Wow, all right.
It's the last 3 words of the 7th novel.
Oh, I didn't even
The ending.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm a really,
All right.
really
Wow.
big fan. So that's inspired
Big
me.
fan. I didn't know that's why that's on your.
Yeah.
Now, why Harry Potter? Why? I have an idea, but why?
I mean, it just made me so much more of an imaginative child. I didn't get started I didn't get into it when it first came out.
Yeah.
It took me,
Same here.
A while. But then once I got started, I couldn't stop, and it's just I started at 13. I started reading the books, 12 or 13, and then I made it a point every winter I would reread the books, and it just takes me away. It just takes me away from reality and gets me into this different world, and it just really makes me happy. I wish I'm such a nerd. I just wish that we lived in that world.
Oh, it would be cool wizards and witches,
Exactly.
right? It'd be
Who would you
awesome.
be if you're Harry Potter? Which character?
I mean, I'm gonna say Hermione. She's an inspiring woman.
Yeah.
She's intelligent. She's got the brains.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'd like to be her.
That's cool.
Anything else, Esther, about?
I had my movie up.
Yeah, your movie is good. All right.
Yeah, good.
All right. So the other question, you guys know I'm an innovation tech person, and a lot of the audience members. It's really become a tech kind of world now we live in now. Is there a tech tool that you use? It could be low tech, high tech, something you use that helps you be productive.
I think because of the location of where we work, we aren't able to do a lot of high-tech stuff because of public, keeping things private.
Right.
So I can't think of a tool, like a big high-tech tool that helps us, to be honest.
I think you're going to be disappointed by this answer. I'm not really a big technological person.
Let me reframe that question. How do you guys communicate among the different teachers, different grade levels, different teachers? Teachers are notorious to work in silos, right? At least in the older grades, so from kindergarten, maybe second grade and up, or third grade and up. Notorious. How do you keep the communication? What's happening within your classes?
Again, it doesn't really involve tech too much. We have, we're a small school. It's a small school. There's 12 full-time teachers, and there's times we have meetings together. We do have each day we have a teacher planning time, curriculum planning time, and so we're all the head teachers are together, and we're all in one room together, and so we communicate verbally. It's just like it's a small.
Nice.
It's really nice.
It's a good old-fashioned face-to-face.
It is pretty old-fashioned, and if not through face-to-face, it's it's on email, but
right.
It's really collaborative, I would say. Even there's infant, toddler, and preschool teachers, but we all communicate, we all collaborate on different ideas, and I've gotten many ideas from Eszter, and she teaches toddlers, and vice versa. And so it's just and I get so much advice and ideas from fellow colleagues. So
right.
we don't use a whole lot of technology.
I just thought of something. We do use a server. But we all upload our stuff that we've worked on.
Right.
And so we can pull materials. Like, let's say Natalie developed a really cool team meeting for all her teachers. We can go up there and pull ideas from what she did.
So now you are putting things up there.
Yes.
Yeah, we all are.
That's important, yeah.
So I think that, and essentially, that's a very good tool for us to always have a place to go to and look.
To fall back.
There's different categories, parent.
You don't have to bother her personally. You can, but
exactly. That's what the idea is.
Right.
But I enjoy our time talking with head teachers.
Yeah, good old fashioned.
It's very valuable.
I mean, the whole point of
to be out of
technology.
the classroom and talk to each other.
The whole point of technology is really just to make things easier.
Right.
But I know it's a small school, and literally you're across the hallway.
Exactly.
And you have the mindset of actually talking to each other.
Yeah.
Well, because we have that built in every day, and that's
Right.
super nice.
But a lot of schools out there, and listeners,
think you guys
tell
have
us
that.
tell us if I'm wrong, but a lot of teachers out there, they work across the hallway. They don't even know what's happening the other side.
Nope, I don't know what's happening next door sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a sense, that's also at our school, at our place too. But by lunchtime, I'll find out what happened in the classrooms.
Right.
I'll know what's happening in Esther's room because we are across the hall. But there are times where I don't know what's happening in the infant rooms, and they don't know what's happening in mine. But when we do come together, during those periods of time in the day, that's like when we can catch up. Like, oh, this happened. What would you do in this situation? Or what should I say? We just help each other out, and
With a support group too.
it is a support
Yeah.
group. So there's some days where I just look forward to that time, 45 minutes with my fellow colleagues who, we're a strong team.
Yeah.
Even if we don't work in the same classrooms, we are a really strong team of teachers, and so I think that's really beneficial.
So I know you guys just talked about getting ideas from each other at your daily meetings, but is there another place where you go to or look to for ideas for teaching?
I personally, I go to my director a lot. We have bi-weekly meetings with our director. Each of us teachers get a time to sit down with her, and we bring up topics or issues or challenges that are coming up, and then she gives us resources. She'll give us books on whatever topic it is. Let's say I really want to do something about clay or a science activity, or really want to look into more science concepts. So she has a huge library in her office, and she gives us resources. She too was a teacher in the classroom
Right.
before, so she
Right.
can give us a lot of really
Can't
good
say her name though, right?
We can't say her name.
But we love you
She's
too.
wonderful.
She will listen to this.
Esther and I had the privilege of working with
We
her.
worked with
Yeah,
her
good,
in the
yeah.
classroom, and then she's worked with all the age groups
Mm-hmm.
from infant to preschool, and so she has a lot of teaching experience, and she gives us her tips and ideas, and then refers us to other resources.
Right.
But also, what we've been doing a lot lately is going to a lot of workshops and trainings outside of the center.
That's great.
And that has
That's
been
awesome.
really great. I've learned so much, and all of us have been going to different ones each time. We're really trying to push some science and math emphasis at our school, so we've all been attending some trainings on that.
Now, are there any big early education, early childhood education conferences out there?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yes.
there's
I don't know anything about
Yeah.
that.
What's it called?
NAEYC
CANAYC.
and CA. Yeah,
California.
But there's also California Accreditation Education of Young Children.
Where's that happen?
It varies. There's one in San Diego. There was a couple years ago. There's
San
one in
Diego's beautiful,
San
so let's go there.
Jose.
I think they're annual. I believe they're
yeah.
annual. Yes.
And then there's also PITC, which is Primary Infant Toddler Care. Is that? Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I never know this
Never
world.
heard this my whole life.
program for
It's a,
infant
it's a whole different world where they're at.
So
Yeah,
the
interesting. Go to that,
PITC
Fred.
is really different.
should
You've
go
been
with
through
it.
it. You
Awesome.
know.
So
you know.
PITC is actually a training
Oh, training.
that I actually attended and received my certification in, and it's a
Yeah.
2-year process,
Wow.
and you have to go to a total of 4 weeks training, and basically they're teaching you how to teach other teachers.
Oh.
So it's not like teaching you the information, but they're teaching you the materials on how to teach other
So
teachers
strategy
below you.
is like that.
Strategies,
That's good,
how
that's
to
good,
do
yeah.
workshops and
Practical.
trainings. So they do mock trainings, and then
So
you have
yours
to
is supposed to spread it out to the rest of the world.
exactly. And it's a very, very well recognized certification in the field, and it's primarily looking at infant to toddler. But a lot of preschool teachers also go and get it, and I encourage everyone to
Wow.
get that certification. It's very beneficial.
Right.
A lot of career opportunities can come out of it as well. So it's a great place I really recommend it.
So when you guys go to these trainings, is it like you pick what you want to do, or is it because it's the school vision of math and science, or how do you decide like what you want to do?
We do have goals that our director and all the head teachers kind of established together, and math
good,
and
that's
science
good, yeah.
has become one of our primary goals. It was very heavily influenced by our director, but I think many of us agree.
All on board, yeah.
Want to really learn about it too and really push it. But I think, that's how we actually function in a lot of ways. We really do collaborate, and our director sits down with us and has weekly meetings, and she wants our input. She wants to know
That's amazing.
what's going on in the
That's
classroom.
awesome. Yes.
And I think she's really great at having us involved. Did you want to add?
Yeah, I agree. We
It's a good
definitely
leader.
have an emphasis on science and math these last couple of years. And I personally really like teaching science and math, even though those are my least favorite subjects in school, but that's why I want
Right.
to teach it to young children now. And that was my field study was based on science and math. And so, but like Esther was saying, we sit down and we have goals for our center, goals for each other. And, when we do attend conferences or have these trainings, we, do discuss, what is our interest? What do we want to learn more about? And, we're able to, do what we want to do, go to learn more about what we want to learn about.
And then also, the director will send us emails all the time, like, here's a conference, here's a workshop training.
Cool.
And so if you're interested, let me know if you
She's
want me to
supporting
sign
you
you.
all the
So
time.
she's
You can
sending
pretty
us-
much go when
like
you
today
want.
we got one today about music and movement, and so
Yeah.
there are always various topics,
good.
and based on what you're interested or if you're available to make them, because sometimes they're on the weekend, which isn't sometimes ideal.
Yeah.
But she really just keeps sending them to us, and then if we're interested, she books us and gets
that's
it all
great.
worked out
That's
for
a,
us.
that's a
It's
great
so much
leader. to
support.
me. That's
Yeah,
a great
it's so
leader.
much, and
She's
she's a
making
really great
you
leader.
shine. She wants you
Yeah,
to be
she wants
awesome,
us to
right?
evolve as teachers and evolve as a center as a whole. And so
great.
it's definitely a goal for her.
Well, that is the culture of our school.
Yeah.
So she has to, that it makes sense that she's
Right.
modeling to that standard.
And ultimately, it really benefits the kids. That's what it comes down to. And I see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So here's the question. There's about a couple more questions left. Your ta-da moment. What's that ta-da moment that you can show to your family, your friends? Boom. This is my moment. Got some snaps there? Yes.
Well,
Go ahead, Natalie. Go ahead.
my ta-da moment was getting my master's in early childhood education. I did that while working
Awesome, yes.
full-time. While
It's
working
hard
I
being
remember that.
full-time.
I remember that.
It's hard full-time.
I think I handled myself pretty well that year. Writing my field study and working full time is definitely a challenge, and going to grad school in general is a challenge. The fact that I was able to do it, and what I loved most about the program and writing my field study was that the children were a part of it. My field study was based on inquiry skills, science inquiry skills, in young children, and so the children. It was a shared learning experience. Children learned from me and I learned from them, and it was just one of the most meaningful things I've ever done was working on my field study and working with these children. They inspired me every day, and inspired my field study to become what it was, and inspired me to graduate, and it was really special to graduate with them. They graduated to kindergarten and I
That's
graduated
awesome, yes.
master's, so it was just like we were all
Great
it was all
modeling.
relative. Exactly. It was all relative, and again, it was this really shared experience. So I feel really proud of myself for
Good. Yes,
finishing
should be.
that and doing it very quickly
Should be.
too. And
Yeah.
so I think that's my ta-da moment.
Okay. How about you, Esther? What's yours?
Well, I have to agree as well, but I think when I first told my mom and my boyfriend at the time, I said, I think I'm going to apply to the master's program. I had just graduated. And they're like, why? You really going to do that? Like, do you really need to do that in your field?
Family members
And
always do that,
Because
right?
you babysit, right?
And then I said, you know what? No, I for sure will apply to the master's program and prove you all wrong. Like, this is so important.
They're a motivating factor.
It was a motivating factor, and I had to prove it to them, but most importantly to myself.
Right.
I was the first in my family to graduate from just my undergrad
Wow.
college.
Oh,
awesome.
And then to go to get my master's, I'm the first in my extended family too. And so that was something I'm really proud of in my family. But I think my ta-da moment with the children is just at the end of the year, when I look at how much the children have grown, I sit back and I just look at all of them, and they're just they've changed so much, and they've worked so hard, and we've gone through so much, and I try to recap the whole school year, and I'm just like I'm so proud of my team of teachers. I'm proud of myself too, because it's a big leadership role that you take on, managing a whole classroom, and you just sit there and you can't be anything but proud of where you've been. And then the next year starts again, and you're just like, all right, here we go again.
Yeah.
It just keeps you going, and it's a really interesting time of year to look forward to at the end.
Cool. Awesome.
All right, so what's new coming up, ladies? What's going on? Something new coming up you're excited about?
Yeah, I actually have some big news.
Oh.
It was just announced today at work, which is why I can say this. I'm actually leaving my job for a little bit. It's okay. I'm just taking a break from teaching. I'm moving to Australia.
What?
Down under.
Australia.
Yes.
Wow.
For a year, and so I'm just taking a break from teaching. Need a little bit of a refresher, and
Awesome.
Are you gonna
Going
teach?
to
You're not gonna teach on there, right? You're just gonna.
and I
see
don't
what
have
happens.
a plan to teach. I think I'll just keep it very easygoing and travel in there, and yeah.
That's
Oh, wow.
awesome.
So that's
Oh
what
my
I
God,
have to look
enjoy.
forward to. Yeah. So
Well, that's awesome.
Where are you going?
I leave in September. So
Okay.
You'll get an email soon.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I mean, we're happy for you.
Happy for
We're
you.
sad, but we're happy for you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So
Wow, that's gonna be very memorable.
yeah.
It's gonna be awesome.
I think it's good for teachers to take a break, and this is my time to
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
take a break. Exactly. So very true.
Yeah, so
That's
we're in the
exciting.
same transition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not just hanging out in
We
San
should
Francisco.
email each other and say, how's it going?
Of course.
Yes. Check out the preschools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Esther, what's the time?
Something new that's coming up for me is actually I'm going to be starting to do a little bit of teaching in the college level.
Oh, wow, nice.
Which is something that I actually looked for. I reached out to my old college advisor, and I'm going to be guest lecturing in a master's level course on campus at San Francisco State, where I went to grad school.
Yes.
And I think it's a really awesome experience to see, just to get my
early childhood
field, the early childhood education program at SF State, and do an upper division master's level class, which, you know, a little nerve-wracking, but you know,
Right.
I always want to push myself to try different things. I never want to be bored, or I never want to feel like I'm settled into this. I want to just keep pushing myself. And who knows, this might be a really fun side job for myself, and you know,
training
working with college
teachers.
students.
Right. And maybe you could tell them to listen to the podcast, certain podcasts.
I might be able to. I might be able to persuade some of them.
Yeah.
If they, maybe I'll
That's
pick up their
awesome.
grades for them.
There you go.
I think Esther is really skilled at teaching, obviously children, but also I know her passion is working with
Right.
young teachers, mentoring them. That's like one of her best skills. I look up to her when I'm having a hard time mentoring students and other teachers.
Awesome.
It's not my favorite part,
for
but
you.
it's Esther's, and she's been a great role model
Yeah,
in
it's
that
great.
sense. So
I'm looking forward
That's
to it.
great.
exciting.
All
Have I
right.
told you about this?
So, do you have like a tip for teachers out there of how to save time?
You know, their biggest challenge is time, right?
Yeah.
We all try to save time. How they can shave some time off of this, so they can have more time teaching, or more time in their life. Any time saving tips?
I think just like organization, you have to be really organized. Like that falls under time management too, you know, like figuring out what needs to be done first and doing that, or what's going to take the longest, you know, getting that done. Really organizing how you're going to get everything done. And making sure you finish it, you know, and setting a goal for yourself. You know, I'll finish this by the end of the day today, or the end of the day tomorrow. And if you set that plan for yourself, you're more motivated to do it. You know, it's your own plan. You know, you want to stick to it. And so I think just developing those organization skills. You know, in the past, time management hasn't been my biggest skill, but this semester especially, I had to take on a lot of workload because I didn't have a second teacher to help me out, and so I really had to organize my time much more productively. And so just setting goals for yourself and meeting those goals, and then that motivates me too. I know, like, when I check something off my list, I feel great. You know, I want to check off more. And, you know, so making a list and checking it off, you know, literally, that works. And I think that would be a good skill tip.
Before I get to Esther, one thing about, don't make to-do lists, make a checklist.
It's a checklist.
The phrase to do is kind of intimidating. Just make a checklist and just check them off. You know, you psych yourself out like, I'm just checking it off. Right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a little tip. Esther, time-saving tip.
Writing things down, because I think we get so much information going on in our head, and that'll stress you out, and then you'll forget things, and then you get in trouble, and then it's just a bad cycle to be in. I think writing things down is really crucial, but then also something I started doing, which really helped me keep everything organized with a large team of teachers and things like that, is to have a big calendar in your classroom for the teachers, and as things start popping up, meetings or scheduled this and that, to start writing things down in the calendar for everyone to see. And then you always know, like, all right, what do I have on my calendar today? I know I have a meeting with my boss today, then I have to have a parent-teacher conference next, and then so it keeps you organized, and then you can always prepare. All right, next week I know I have a parent-teacher conference. Let me start getting prepared for that conference. So during my planning time today, that's what I will be doing. So having like a visual calendar to help keep up with all those responsibilities, I think is helpful.
Yeah, because you don't always see the teachers all the time, or you might see them for a little bit.
Oh yeah,
and you have to have it openly communicated.
Yeah, if I'm not there, then they could always go look on there and they know, like, okay, today so-and-so, we're celebrating this person's birthday, so mom and dad are coming in early, so we're going to prepare for that, and you want to know.
You need that protocol.
Yeah.
Especially because,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so here is the mic drop moment. What is what is your
Thank you. Yeah.
best advice? What is your best advice to teachers out there, especially in your realm, your world, your universe of the early childhood education? What is your best advice to them?
I believe that in the early childhood field, you want to get your master's degree. I think that was my biggest advice. Go get the education. I think later on, in like 10 or 20 years, we're going to see a lot more schools that are going to make it a requirement. And so go to school now while tuition's low. That's my
Somewhat
advice.
low, yes.
Lower than it will
It's
be.
going to be really expensive, and just get that higher education, because the bare minimum in the future will be a master's level.
Right.
And your credential, if you can. Do a combination of your credential and your master's, because that is the future. And so getting an education is somebody, my old college advisor told me, go get your master's. And I listened to her and I did it, and I never regretted it to this day. I think it's really, you can do a lot more with it later on. You don't have to necessarily be in the classroom with it if you have your master's. Opportunities are more, they're more available to you, I think, if you have a higher education. So that's my opinion.
Yes.
I agree with that as well. Definitely get the higher education as much as you can. It just sets you apart from other teachers out there. I also think it's really important to be flexible in this field. With your time. With the children, with families. Just understanding that not everything's going to go your way, and you may have this plan or dream of how you want your classroom to run, or how you want this activity to go, and how just have a plan in your head, and it may not go the way that you wanted it to, but don't get discouraged by that. Be flexible. Just use that as an opportunity to learn. Okay, how can I make this different? How can this be successful the next time? I'm teaching with a lot of young students and future teachers. They stress on setting up an activity or planning curriculum, and it can be stressful, but also you have to be flexible around that, and it may not go the way you wanted it to. And I think it's just important to know that don't think of it as a failure, think of it as an opportunity to learn and to challenge yourself more. So being flexible with your work and colleagues that you work with, and it's not going to be just A, B, C. It's just going to go, and any day, every day is different when you enter classrooms. Especially in early childhood. There's not. In what we do, it's play-based and emergent curriculum, and so we don't plan out our days as much as you would probably, and so it's really important to be flexible in that sense. I think. Go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt
No,
you.
that's it. I mean, yes.
The best advice you've ever been given? The best advice I've ever been given is that if you're not feeling challenged in your day-to-day job, go somewhere else and find it. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel. That's why I seeked out my college advisor, because I want to be challenged. And I think everyone should live by that motto. Otherwise, you just get settled and it's not.
You lose the passion.
You do lose the passion.
Yeah, that growth mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Wow.
the same token, what's the best advice you give other teachers?
I guess that was it.
Right?
The flexibility.
We did both.
Yeah, we did right.
Yeah,
did both,
sorry, I
sorry.
answered it as
No, it's
what I
okay.
would give to teachers.
No, Sharon's trying to catch up still.
I had one of these.
One of those
Only
little
one.
drinks, yes. But anyway,
Okay, never
so
mind.
first of all, we want to thank you for joining us on our show in this incredible episode.
It's been our pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been fun hanging out.
I want to wish Eszter her journey into teaching the future teachers out there,
Thank you.
and with Natalie in your year, and maybe even beyond, her life in Australia. Now, we usually have you share information on how listeners can contact you if needed. Is there a way that listeners can contact you, but you don't have to give that information? You can always, and any listeners want to contact Eszter or Natalie, that they can email us first, and then we can give the information to you.
sounds
too.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That sounds
Okay,
good.
so you can email me at Sharon@teachingbites.com.
And Fred@teachingbites.com. Okay?
anything.
Now, before we end the show, you guys want to give a shout out to these people out there in the universe? Give a shout out. Give a shout out to the people
I'm
out
going to give
there.
a shout out to all my former classmates and fellow colleagues in this industry. Thank you.
No names out there?
No.
Okay.
No, just everyone.
All
I'll
right.
share with you and you'll know who you are.
I guess I'm gonna give a shout out to my mom, just because
Hey,
she
Mom.
she really
Great
did
daughter.
she always believed in me that I could do it, and that's why I'm sitting here today. And so she's always my drive.
Thank you, Esther's mom.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our ladies, thank you for joining our
you.
show, and best wishes to you guys. And thank you for teaching our boys.
It's been our
It's
pleasure.
been awesome.
They're the best.
They are the best.
Thank you.
The sweetest boys ever.
Cheers.
I miss them.
Cheers. All right.
All right, so thank you for listening. Please share this episode with all out there, especially early childhood educators. And
Subscribe to our show.
Yes.
Rate it. Keep us an honest rating. And until next time, make sure you take your teaching to the next level. See you soon.
see you later. Bye.
Peace.
Is that okay?
Thank you for listening to the Teaching Bites podcast at www.teachingbites.com.